Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a casted game on Hill and Dale between DivineDFP and Leenock. So let's take a quick look at the map first. Hill and Dale. It's a map where you got two hills, and each hill has one civilization, and the rest of the map is a lower level. So a Dale. That is typical about Hill and Dale. Always fun when the name literally implies what it is, two hills with a Dale. Then we got DivineDFP and Leenock. Those are the two players of today. DivineDFP, a top 100 player, ranked 26 at the moment, and Leenock, a pro player you probably know from N4C. He's playing the Chinese. He's also called the Leenooctopus because he's just so good at multitasking. He can raid different places, build eco, control the map. He's just everywhere. So, typical about Hill and Dale. You've got your hill and you got three openings, which you can pretty easily wall off. If you look here, put a wall here, put a wall there, and here you closed off your base for, I'd say, 180, 200 wood. And it really gives a lot of advantages because your opponent has to go through those walls, and that takes time. So a typical decision by Leenock by playing Chinese, a more late game civilization, because it's pretty easy to get some more time. You put a wall here, and if the opponent tries to get through, put a second wall there, and if the opponent tries through, the piece of wall that's get attack, build a wall around that, and you've already gained like 4 or 5 minutes into the game. And on the other side we got DivineDFP playing as the French, a more aggressive civilization. Normally you would see them at more open maps like Dry Arabia, but it's possible on Hill and Dale. In the ideal situation you get a night in before the wall goes up. The earliest night possible as the French, about 4 minutes 45 seconds. So yeah, he has to travel to the other side of the map, so around 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes 45, you can get a knight at your opponent on the other side of the map. But Leenock probably knows it. He's a professional player. He knows he has to get his walls up before the 4 minute 45 mark. But then again we see a male with a wheelbarrow as a French player, so he's going wheelbarrow first, even going survival techniques. So he's making the economical choice. Every decision, of course, is gonna affect your gameplay. By building a mill, researching wheelbarrow, researching survival techniques, you got more economical profit of the deer, because the deer is a better food source than many like the berries. But you also delay your school of cavalry, you also delay your knight. So let's see if the French player still will be able to get a French knight into the base of Leenock. Leenock going the typical opening with a mill, with the deer, of course, because the deer are so close and they just give so much more food than the berries. The berries are actually further away than the deer. So of course he's bringing all his sheep to this mill. He got an imperial officer on it. He's even putting down barbaric and of the sun now. Defense landmark. Has a hand cannon that does 25 damage. It's like a slap of Will Smith. It hits so hard, and if you get hit hard enough, you just go down. On the other hand, School of Cavalry, of expected by the French, you really don't got any other flavor. Like the Chamber of Commerce is just too weak. So Leenock probably also knows that the knight is coming. So for 15 seconds, and you already see the walls coming up. So Leenock is expecting a knight before the 5th minute mark, and is putting the walls up to prevent the knight from coming in. Always tough for the French player getting in if the walls are up before the 5th minute mark. Something I typically like to do is just place a scout at one of the walls places to block it from coming up, and that just buys you that 20 to 30 seconds for the knight to come in. but it won't be possible for DivineDFP because he still doesn't have enough food to train a knight. He still not going to Leenock's base, and Leenock already has his walls up, so no way of getting in early, and also no way of scouting what Leenock's gonna do. In this case, the French player is almost blind. He's no idea what Leenock's gonna do. French player choosing for an archery range. Standard choice, because other opponents already know you're going knights. So most of the opponents will go spearmen, because spearmen do so good against knights. So it's typical to build an archery range so the archers counter those spearmen. But in this situation, what DivineDFP doesn't know, Leenock doesn't have a barracks. He's just collecting wood, he's collecting stone, he's going second town center without a barracks. He's so confident in himself that he can defend his position with walls and the Barbican of the Sun and the town centers, that he doesn't need a barracks. He's not even making spearmen. So DivineDFP is going archers, which won't do anything. And another choice Divine could have made is going the blacksmiths. An advantage of that is that you two-shot villagers, but you still have to find some way to get into the base of Leenock. You see 2 scouts now, probably gonna attack the wall, but it's 1500 HP. It's gonna take so long before they're through those walls, and yeah, Leenock's probably gonna send a villager to repair. Still has the option of building a second wall. It's gonna take so much time for DivineDFP to get into the base of Leenock. Building that second archery range. He's totally expecting a lot of spearmen. He's thinking by himself, I'm gonna make knights, I'm gonna make double archery range, I'm gonna invest a lot on units. He's probably going a blacksmith with a siege engineer. Yeah, there's the blacksmith. Because this is a typical French all-in feudal phase. That also means DivineDFP has to make something happen. If his all-in fails, Leenock just wins because he has the better economy. He's got 2 town centers, making villages. Even when the French has an advantage because their villagers has 17 seconds build time, and the Chinese 20 seconds, he's making 2 at a time. So in the end, he's gonna have way more villagers than the French. So our French player DivineDFP is on a timer. There's a point in the game, let's say about 15 minutes, that Leenock has such a big economic advantage. It's gonna be very hard for our French player to still win the game. Our French player putting a second mill at the other deer patch, because you know Leenock built walls, so he knows, oh, there's already a second wall up. He knows Leenock is playing defensive, he knows he has the map, so it's safe to take this deer now, because Leenock's not going out of his base until like 10 minutes from now. And here I've seen 2 stables, lot of resources for Leenock, lot of food, lot of gold. So probably Castle Age and Fire Lancers. Fire Lancer, unique unit to the Chinese, a strong version of the Knight, and even the Knights of the French are strong and really strong in Feudal Age, still pretty strong in Castle Age, but you know, Fire Lancers against Feudal Knights, well, the Fire Lancers are just gonna be stronger in a long engagement. French Knight can charge, has bonus damage for 3 seconds, but in long engagements, especially because Fire Lancers are a H3 unit, they're gonna win in the fight. Siege engineering completed, to be expected of our French player, because he just, a third wall, even a third wall is coming up. It's gonna take, so it's already 9:35 and he's still busting up those walls in the hope to get through, but Leenock says, I'm just gonna build another wall, you know, have fun attacking it, I'm gonna take my time. And now the archer's coming in, so it's gonna be hard for Leenock to build another wall around the piece that's a stack, because the archers are gonna snipe those villagers. But still, it's gonna take another minute before DivineDFP is in the base of Leenock. Leenock has all the time to prepare. Got the clock tower now for those extra strong siege units. Got a market to juggle those resources if needed. But if you look at the resources of Leenock, yeah, he's a little bit more heavy on the gold, but he's really down on the resources. So good management of Leenock there. All those villagers backing up to the wood line, so they can easily jump in those two town centers, just for the extra damage and the protection they need. First Lancer coming out, and DivineDFP just pouring in those units, because he really needs to make something happen with this push. If he doesn't manage to take down some important buildings, a town center, doesn't manage to kill a lot of villagers, he's gonna be behind. And from a position when you're behind, it's really hard to come back. You need like a big fight going your way, or a big raid going your way. He's searching for an angle where he can attack those villagers, trying to get in the wood line, but just 3 fire lancers just pushing him away. In the meantime, a town center doing damage, and we don't see any heals. We don't have chivalry. DivineDFP doesn't go chivalry. Does go a second stable, so DivineDFP pretty much all in. 4 production buildings in a feudal age, just spamming those resources away. We're trying to attack the town center, just smashing it with 2 rams, and a nest of bee is coming in from the clock tower. It has 10 damage from 8 bursts, so that's 80 damage. Area of effect damage even, so all those units that are clumped up, see the damage it does. All those archers, so much damage just from one shot. DivineDFP picking off a villager here or there, but it won't be enough. In this position, Leenock's just gonna outmass him. His economy is better, and second nest bee coming out. His defense is good. He's hitting the town center, but a lot of villagers coming in to snipe those ram. Maybe even repair the town center when needed. There we go. Repairing the town center, sniping the ram, jumping in, and only 1 villager got sniped. But on the other end, DivineDFP is just losing multiple knights, losing a ram. It's gonna be really hard to make something happen. So this is a position where Divine will try to push and push, make something happen, charging in with the knights, trying to get an advantage, but another ram is going to killed by those villagers. A 3rd ram going down, and even when Leenock is losing some villagers, he got 2 town centers, he just gonna build them back. Divine on an economy of 50 villagers, Leenock an economy of 45, so a little bit behind, but he managed to repel Divine's push when he invested so many resources, and like I said, he got 2 town centers, so that economy is going up again to a level where Divine won't be able to match him. Even taking the barriers here at the gate, always a smart thing to do, because even when Divine finds this and wants to raid this, he just go to the gate and he has to smash through the gate, and that's gonna take so much time. You can even put him on the barriers here in the back. And meanwhile, Divine trying to get that town center down, but just too many nest of bees, too many village, too many lancers. He won't be able to. And you see he's backing up. He's got so many archers, but those archers only do decent damage against villagers, and that's not what you want if you got a military composition. You want your archers to hit a valuable target, like spearmen for example, but yeah, Leenock is only making fire lancers, and his fire lancers are stronger than the royal knights of the French. Meanwhile, Divine also stocking a lot of resources, a lot of gold in the bank, so maybe Maybe if he goes to market, juggle some resources, can he go castle age himself? Villagers going out into the field, going to take the boar. Boar, 2000 food, lots of food per second, but I've got the feeling it's more like a desperate move. Like, you know, I need a big income even if I don't have the map control I want, because he lost so many units. He only got 6 knights left, 7 knights. And you know, Firelands are up there. One Firelands going out, gonna try to pick off some villagers. And here we got another Firelands already out, just harassing, raiding the opponent. He can't even finish his market to juggle those resources for his own castle age. You see, DivineDFP putting up a wall because he knows those lancers are gonna be so annoying. They're just gonna go in, kill a couple of villagers, make some idle time, go out again, and meanwhile Leenock's economy is great because he's harvesting so many resources, and they're gonna translate in military units. So in the end, Leenock just gonna outmass DivineDFP if he doesn't make something happen. Here we got like 7 knights chasing one lancer, and the other lancers are just killing the villagers at the boar. So in the meantime, Leenock got 63 villagers, and Divine only got 49 left. And this is what I mean, the win condition of Leenock. Going defensive with a lot of walls, with Barbican of the Sun, going to town centers for that macro, that economical gameplay, just to outmatch his opponents. And DivineDFP chose for a strong feudal push, investing a lot of resources in that, but if you don't do any damage to your opponent with that push, you're gonna be behind so much. And well, I'm curious what Divine still wants to do. He's putting up the Royal Institute, another sign that he feels he's behind, because mostly you see the guild hall. The guild hall is so much better for your economy, so much better for your macro. The Royal Institute, you only build that for one reason. You want the cavalry upgrade for the 35% health and finish the game in a couple of minutes. If you can't finish the game in that couple of minutes after the Royal Institute is built, it would have been better to build the guild hall, because in the long term the guild hall just gives so much more advantage. So probably Divine going Royal Institute, pumping some resources in a military, going the cavalry upgrade, and probably go for a final push in the hope. And a lot of more villagers getting killed. Oh, that hurts so much. All those lancers just running around, killing villagers, ignoring the knights and the archers. It's just economical damage that hurts so bad. Only 45 villagers left. Leenock 74. That's a difference of 30 villagers harvesting resources, and all those resources gonna be more lancers, gonna be more nest of bees, and in the end Leenock's gonna have such a big military that Divine doesn't stand a chance. So Divine is trying to hang on, trying to pick off units, preparing for probably a final push, taking the deer of Leenock, really aggressive. The monk of Leenock walking by with a relic, like no Wallalol? No Wallalol. That would have been epic to see, just the monk standing next to it, pushing the relic. Another relic going down to Leenock is just so far ahead on the economical choices. And if you look at the French play, it doesn't even have double broadaxe, doesn't have stone picking, doesn't have horticulture. He only got some military units, and the military units of Leenock are just as good, and he has more. He's got 4 nests of bees, that's 320 damage per burst. Area of effect damage. So if those knights or archers are clumped up, they're just gonna melt. And those lancers just picking off villages, just distracting DivineDFP, doing economical damage. DivineDFP on the other hand trying to push in the gate, but gets scared away by the Barbican. And Leenock is just massing units. He's got so much gold. Making farms now also long-term investments. Just, yeah, you know, he's got 3 relics, he got 2 town centers. His economy is so much better. He's just building out steadily that economy. That, yeah, you know, he says to Divine, you can have the map, you can walk around on the map. I'll just build a base that's so powerful, you're never gonna outmass me. And on the other hand, DivineDFP, he knows he's behind, so he has to push in and try to do some damage on the economy of Leenock just to get back in the game. Decompensation complete, lot of upgrades for Leenock now. I already got the stone picking, already got the board axe, also got the horticulture. He's just so much ahead on the economics, and that's so important in Age of Empires 4. Like, a good micro battle helps, but a better economy helps so much more. And we see the ram coming in. It's gonna be do or die for DivineDFP. So let's wait and see what's gonna happen. The 4 nest of bees already attacking the ram, but they have to get to the gate. And the Barbican and the nest of bees and the lancers. A lot of lancers, a lot of palace guards. All heavy armor. So the archers of DivineDFP are just useless. They can't do anything. It's there's DivineDFP taps out. Leenock wins the game, and just so well played by Leenock. So really deserving.